All right, Dynamite just ended, and before I get into Dynamite, I just want to say that after watching some other videos about Raw, it's apparent to me that everybody thought it was pretty bad, and I thought it was pretty good just because there was more wrestling on it. But I think that just proves that to me, I just enjoy wrestling, being on my wrestling shows, and that I have low expectations for what WWE will do most of the time. As a lot of people's main complaint was that, oh, we're 2 weeks out from SummerSlam. What are we doing to build to it? And I didn't even think about that. Honestly, I was just glad that there was wrestling. And I also didn't realize that there wasn't any women's wrestling on that show. So that sucks. But nonetheless, let's get into Dynamite. The first match was Kevin Knight versus Darby Allin for the TNT Championship. And starting off with a Darby match to me is kind of crazy because the stuff that Darby does in any match, it just, I don't know, he puts his body on the line regardless of what show it is. And I have to say, I appreciate that because he doesn't hold back for anything. And just for that alone, I probably put him as one of my favorite wrestlers. He does this crazy dive from the turnbuckle to the timekeeper's area, and then he does well, he takes off like a covering for the corner post, then balances on it, then does the dive, and then later on in the match he sticks Kevin Knight's arm in it and kind of like does like elbow strikes to his arm while he's stuck in it. But before that, they're flying all over the place, and Kevin puts him under the ring steps and kind of just I don't know what the move is called, but he grabs him by the legs and just like pops him up, and so Darby like just hits the top plate of the steps and it just bounces off and lands back on him, and of course that busts him open. And this is all within like the first 10 minutes of the match, and eventually Kevin Knight wins. There's a ref bump, and then he uses the TNT title to hit Darby while he's on the top turnbuckle. Then he puts him in a tree of woe and then hits the coast to coast, which he injured Darby with during the Continental Classic. And I'll be honest, that coast to coast looks so fucking gnarly. Like, it's like, obviously, like, a coast to coast is like crazy, but just visually, it just looks fucking nasty. So he does that, then does the UFO splash, which is like the second or third time he's used it after turning heel. Because when he first turned heel, he wasn't using it. He was using his Uranagi, which they call crash landing. But now he's starting to use the UFO splash again. But overall, great, great opening match. Then, as Kevin Knight is in the ring, the entrants for the next match show up, at least from the Don Callis family. So, Okada and Kyle Fletcher come out, and then, after the commercial break, it's basically a whole Don Callis family segment, and it's really just there to show the dynamics in the Don Callis family. And basically that Fletcher and Kevin Knight obviously don't like each other. Kevin Knight now has the most title defenses for the TNT Championship, and that record was held by Kyle Fletcher before. And then him and Fletcher get into it, and both of them basically say that they don't need the family to defend their titles, right? Kevin Knight says at first, he's like, yeah, and I did all that without the Don Callis family. And then Fletcher is like, well, I don't need the family for this match, and I don't need it for when I defend the title against Bandito. It's interesting to me that both Kyle and Kevin Knight are both mentioning how they don't need the family to do things with their titles, while I guess to defend and keep their titles, that they don't need the family. Because obviously, if you're all down for the family, you wouldn't really say that you don't need them. But also, both of them have had matches or storylines where the champions they're going against tell them that they don't actually need them. So, for Fletcher, Hangman said that to him during their build for All Out last year. And then obviously Kenny Omega said it to Kevin Knight for their match at Redemption. So it's a good callback and probably alluding to the fact that both of them are probably not going to be in the family after a certain point, since both of them have gone through some sort of phase of knowing that they don't need the family to be able to be successful. But Fletcher and Knight get into some shoving again after he says that, oh, I don't need the family. Here during this tag match, he yells at him, pushes him. It's like, everybody's banned from ringside. I don't need y'all here. And the match with Protocata and Bandito is really fucking good. Fletcher is great. Bandito is great. Brody King is great. Okada's good. Not saying that Okada is not as good in ring as everybody else, but the stuff that Fletcher does on like a nightly basis is pretty good, and Bandito and Brody King together just pair really, really well. The tag match ultimately comes to an end when Okada accidentally hits Fletcher with a Rainmaker, which it's obviously clear when it's being set up, but it's just funny that like Okada's done this like multiple times. He's done it multiple times, and it's always been when somebody in the family wants a title or has a title that he has. And Okada really just does not care. He just wants his title back. Because when he's outside in the ring, when Kyle is like slowly getting up, he's like saying that he's sorry, and he's sorry. But when his back is turned, you see his face, and he's kind of just showing a face of like, I really don't care. Or he's just like, man, fuck you. And then once he turns back around, he goes like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And then he just walks away. And I guess him thinking that he's still being looked at, he's walking up the ramp, like making like sorry gestures and everything. But that 1 second when his back was turned and he just went to like show how he really feel, Okada don't care. He wants his title back. That's all he wants. So maybe we'll get the Don Callis triple threat at All In. We'll see. I'm 100% down for it. I don't think that Bandito will win the international title, but if he does, then I wouldn't be against a triple threat or fatal four-way for the TNT championship with the Don Callis family. Because it's been kind of weird to me that Fletcher doesn't want the TNT title back, but now he's international champion. That kind of doesn't matter, even though a lot of people in his company want 2 belts. So, I don't know. But I think it would make sense that if Kyle were to lose the international championship, he would just want his TNT championship. And with all the tension rising from everything that's going on, you can just add Okada into it. So then it might be Knight, Okada, Fletcher. And then if you want to throw Takeshita in there, you could throw Takeshita in there. I think that'll be fine, but I'm pretty sure that it's going to end up being a triple threat with Okada, Takeshita, Fletcher. I don't see Fletcher losing the title at Redemption. I do believe that Andrade is probably taking the national title for Mark Davis at Redemption. I do feel like that's going to happen. So, there will be one member in the Don Callis family that's going to lose their title. And before I move off the topic, I think once Fletcher realizes that Okada really just wants his title back, it's going to be a storyline of basically that Okada is the one that's causing all the problems in the family. Because Okada was the one that kind of started shit with Takeshita, and now he's starting shit with Fletcher because he has the international title. Now, if he didn't have the international title, he probably wouldn't feel the way. But since now that he has it, now it's a problem. So yeah, it's gonna be funny when this all comes to a head, and I wonder if Don Callis is gonna realize like Okada, why are you like this? Why are you like this? But Don Callis just sees all of this as friendly competition instead of things slowly getting worse and worse, which is obviously like part of the story. Like he thinks everything is under control, but it's really not, and he really just might not care as long as he has Okada. So there's that. The women's face to face with Tekla and Willow Nightingale was pretty good. I thought it got better the longer it went on. Willow used Tekla's dumb bitch line against her, which was pretty funny. I do think that they're gonna take the belt off of Tekla because unless AEW is not gonna care about the face and heel dynamics, I just feel like they're gonna want to do a face and heel situation with most of their matches. And obviously, I think Mercedes would be the heel, so you gotta have Willow as the face. But then Willow will only have like a month title reign. So I don't know, but we can always do like one or two more rematches after All In if Mercedes wins. So wouldn't be a huge thing, but I am likely thinking that Willow's gonna win. If Willow wins, hopefully Triangle of Madness defends the Stardom Championships at All In. I think that would be really good and it'd be interesting, but also that just might not happen. But with AEW's partnership with Stardom, it's kind of WWE-esque. Well, I'll say that not just with Stardom, but with CMLL and New Japan. It's WWE-esque in the sense of we'll have our talent win your titles, but there hasn't been many times when those other companies have had their wrestlers win AEW titles. I can only think of like Mystico and Mascara Dorada. And Mystico and Mascara Dorada are ROH tag team champions, and Mystico's won the trios titles like 2 times, I think. 1 or 2 times. But obviously not a singles belt. And with like fucking 5 mid-card titles for the men's, we can just toss one over there. But I digress. I wasn't a huge fan of this Jay White Clark Connors match. I don't know, it just didn't really do anything for me. I really like Clark Connors, and Jay White seems cool. I haven't really watched any of what Jay White did in AEW before, but I don't know, man. I don't know if Connors is just maybe better as a tag guy, because it seems like his moveset is just a lot of like running. Like he has a good spear, but he's doing a lot of running, a lot of shoulder blocks and stuff. He did a German suplex, and that was cool. But I just feel like there wasn't a lot in this match, and it felt like it ended kind of abruptly. Cause he goes, can I fucking talk? Clark Connors goes for a spear, and Jay White catches him in like a guillotine and taps him out. And then David Finlay comes out, hits Jay White with the shillelagh, whatever it's called. And then Bang Bang Gang comes out, and they're doing some sort of double chain tag match at Redemption. Well, I guess they put up the challenge for it. It wasn't officially announced, but we'll see if that comes out, and then that gets added to the card. I do like the Bang Bang Gang's entrance. It's very simple, but it's pretty cool. With a spotlight on them and then the camera going around them. It's pretty cool. I like it a lot. But I'm not really sold on Jay White just yet. Not super sold. Not in the sense of me being super excited for a match with him. Now, if we get like a dogs match I'll probably be interested in it, but a single Clock Corners match, I don't know. I don't have much to say about the women's no DQ tag team match. It was a fun match, and I like the Sisters of Sin matching with their Artists of Stardom belts. And I like the way the belts look. They're just a different design. And instead of just like a big old plate, it's like obviously shaped around a star. It's very unique. And I like that a lot. Just a different look. It's just cool. That's all I gotta say. It's just pretty cool. And I didn't think they were winning this because Julia Hart is in, I forget the proper term for it, but I think the 5-star five-star Grand Prix for Stardom. So I doubt they're gonna double belt them up and then have Julia not be there for however long she's doing that Grand Prix. But the match was good. I enjoyed it. The All-Star Tag match at the end, Kenny Omega, Jon Moxley, Will Ospreay versus the members of the Don Callis family, Brian Cage, Jake Doyle, and Hechicero. It was a good match. There was a point in the match where Kenny did not want to tag in Mox, and that plays into it a little bit later in building tension. Because later near the end of the match, Kenny inadvertently hits Moxley with a knee. Now, the good guys, I say the good guys, Kenny's team ends up getting the win, and then after the match, Kenny's trying to tell Mox, like, hey, I didn't mean to do that. And obviously they're jawing back and forth. Mox shoves Kenny, and then Will tries to get in between them, and then Kenny pushes Will, and Will's like, yo, what the fuck? And then Young Bucks come out, they start brawling. Don Callis family comes out. Everybody's brawling, and Kenny's about to hit a V-trigger on, can I remember the names? Trent Beretta and Rocky Romero. He's about to get a 2-for-1, and right as he's about to hit the V-trigger, Kevin Knight flies in over the top rope, does a belt shot, and that's how the show ends. And that surprised me because I was like, okay, he's about to get a 2-for-1. You know what I'm saying? That's a good way to end it. But he literally comes out of nowhere. It was shot perfectly. And he must have, like, really got him. Unless he did, like, a blade job while he was down. Because when Kevin Knight grabs both of the titles, like, he sets up Kenny Omega, he's bleeding. And I think it's probably genuine because it's, like, higher up. It seems like the bleeding is, like, coming from, like, his hair. So he might have got him, like, right at the top of the head. Because he was, like, literally flying in at him. And also, when Kevin Knight is holding up both of the belts, it's crazy the size difference between the belts. Like, the TNT title looks so small compared to the world title. Like, just from visuals alone, you can guess which title is a world title and which one is a mid-card title. And it's the same way with the women's belt as well. Though I love the way both belts look. I love the way the men's world championship looks, and I love the way that the women's one looks. I like the big belts. I think it fits perfectly, and it also fits. Side note: the women's belt fits Tekla damn near perfectly, even though like Tekla is like really short, and it basically takes up her whole. Yeah, can I fucking talk? It takes up her whole torso pretty much, but it just looks good on her. Like it just fits her, and I think it fits like that belt. I think fits a lot of women well because it looked good on Statlander. Obviously, it looked good on Tony, and it's gonna look good on Willow, and it's definitely gonna fit on Mercedes. And I think about it because I noticed that Divine Dominion don't ever. Well, I can't say never, but they rarely wear the belts around their waist. And I say rarely because I watched a Stardom match that Megan Bayne had against Sayuri. I think it's pronounced Shiuri. the IWGP Women's World Championship, and during her entrance, she actually had it around her waist instead of like hanging it on like her like tights. But yeah, we're a tangent because Divine Dominion always normally come out either holding them or having it like hanging off their waist. So I just wonder if it's a situation of like the belts are just too small to wrap around them. But no, that's just not the case. It's just a stylistic choice. But yeah, I like the way all the title belts look. And I was watching old AEW. I say old AEW, but the beginning of AEW like last week, and that first women's title belt was so ugly. So fucking ugly. I don't know if they tried to make it look somewhat similar to how the IWGP women's belt is. And I don't think that belt is ugly, but it's smaller. Like the plate is like not nearly as big. But by God, it was so ugly. The new belt is the belt that's active now is so much better. But yeah, Dynamite is cool. Preferred wrestling show, and probably gonna do a redemption predictions if nothing gets added after Collision. I might talk about Collision, probably not, and I might watch Redemption because even though it just seems like a filler pay-per-view, there's matches on there that I really want to see, even if it's predictable. But we'll see.